because I think of 4 phases here. Waking in, to me, is the first phase of becoming an integrated human being, where we're becoming friendly terms with all of our emotional life, our cognitive life. We're learning how to be on friendly terms with our body, mind, senses, and emotions. Then in that kind of integrated ability, now there's a waking up phase where we're in a way going beyond and deconstructing our sense of self as this separate individual. Because I think as a phase of that waking in, we're beginning to become, as Jung and others have said, an integrated, individuated, healthy human being operating on all 12 cylinders. But we're still feeling ourselves very separate. I think that's part of the ego development. At around 18 months of age, between 18 months and 24 months, a sense of self that's separate comes online for everyone. I actually remember the moment that it came online, because the moment before there was no sister, there was no room, there was no beds, no windows, no walls. And then a moment later, there was a sister standing in front of me. There were walls, windows, doors, floors. Everything got a name and a sense of separation. And when I look back, I realized in that moment, I didn't know what was happening. But that was the moment, I think, when I started to feel that sense of separation that ultimately took me into the depression the further I got away. So part of healthy ego development is becoming an individuated, healthy, functioning sense of self that feels itself individuated and separate. Waking up is reawakening that primordial aspect we knew as babies, where there was no sense of separation, no sense of other. But as a baby, we're swimming in that kind of primordial soup, but we don't know it because we don't have the cognitive ability. As that cognitive ability comes along, so does that ego development and that sense of separation, which is to me a part of natural human development. But then we have the ability to self-recognize this underlying essence that we probably left and weren't rewarded for as children, because our families didn't know about it. They had left years before. Waking up, to me, is reawakening that sense of underlying essence and bringing it back to the forefront of awareness as a self-awareness. So now we are aware of our essence. So we are both that essence that we were as babies, but now we're aware of being that essence. And now we're swimming in that essence. That to me is the waking up. And in that, there can be, as happened to me, a leaving behind that sense of being a separate individual. And I remember very distinctly sitting with my wife on the couch, exclaiming how beautiful it was to feel this non-separation and this sense of unity and no other. And she said, I actually want a somebody. I don't want a nobody. And I said, but isn't this wonderful? She said, no, it's not really wonderful in relationship. I want a somebody to relate to. And after a couple of years, that integrated, and we were sitting on the very same couch, and she turned to me and she said, something's different. It feels like you're back. And I said, actually, I feel the same as I did before, but there's something that's integrated here, and it does feel like I'm here, and I can both be your unique other while there is no other here between us. Thankfully, she came to understand that in her own experience as well. So we get to celebrate that beauty of being distinct and unique in relationship, and yet still feel that underlying essence that's not separate. So I think of that waking up as really embodying that essence. Then I think there's another phase. I call it waking back down. That's that phase I had to go through of reintegrating being with my emotions, being with my body perceptions, and yet still feeling that underlying essence. And then a fourth phase I call waking out. Now we integrate it into our relationships, into our work. Now we're really becoming a fully functional human being, awake, knowing no separation, and yet we can walk through the world as if, as one of my teachers said to me, he said, you're now an as if you're separate, but you know you're not. So we use the language, don't we? I, me, you, yours. So I will say, I'm hungry, and I'd love to go to dinner, and I'd love to go to dinner with you. But inside, what I'm experiencing is hunger's arising, wanting to go to dinner is arising, wanting to go to dinner with this is arising. But if I were to say that out in public, they'd probably put me in a mental institute. So it's interesting to walk in the world without any sense of separation, and yet fully functioning as if we're separate individuals. And I think that's really what this is all about.